It's y equals, right? So what is my slope? Oh, I am having a good day today. What is my slope? Negative 2 over 5. Perfect. That's it. So number 2, I almost said number 7. Number 2, is it y equals? No. So what do I do to get it to be y equals? So what am I going to subtract? The x term, right? I want to get the y, remember I want to get the y by itself, so I want to get this by itself. So I'm going to subtract whatever's on the same side of the equal sign. So I'm going to subtract 7x. And I've got 3y equals negative 7x plus 21, okay? Is the y by itself? No. What do I need to do? Do I need to make it bigger? Divide by 3. Perfect. On all of them, yeah? And I get y equals negative 7/3 x plus, 7? 3 goes into 21 7 times? Yeah.
I get it, but then I forget.
Then what's my slope? Negative 7/3. Beautiful. Okay, do you want to try the third one by yourself first? Go, try it. Go, go. Do you want me to leave this one up there so they're both there?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I'll just wait for you to explain this.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Hi, Leah. I was wondering where you were. And Stephanie, right? Yes! So excited. Where's your mask? Thank you. Hey. Hello. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, BT. Thank you. Thank you.
Very sad.
I already got COVID once. I don't want to get it again. So please wear your mask in
I
here.
don't have COVID.
I know, but how do you know?
Oh, were you one of those teachers?
Because I'm double vaccinated.
Honey, so people that have got the vaccine are getting it also, the new strand.
So the vaccine doesn't work for anything?
It does for the old strand, but not necessarily the new strand.
Well, you won't get us sick.
You won't get as sick, and you're less likely to die if you get the new strand, if you have the vaccine. Yeah, so it does, and the new strand is a lot harsher. So keep safe. Keep your family safe. No, you don't want to keep your family safe? Wow, that's harsh. He's like, nope, done.
Miss Campbell, you think the office has needles?
A needle?
Yeah.
For what?
I forgot my needle at home.
Oh, for your insulin?
Yeah.
Possibly. Do you want to go down and check? Yeah.
That's not good.
No, it's not. They probably do, honey.
Oh, because I ate a granola bar.
Well, yeah. Do you have your, okay, good, yeah. Do you need someone to go with you? Are you going to be okay going down to the office? Okay. Okay. All right. So what do I do on number 3? What's the first thing I do? Well, is my 8 positive or negative? My 8 is negative? My 8 here is positive, right? So how do I move it to the other side? Subtract it, right? Is that what you were meaning, Chris? Oh. Subtract 8x, okay? So I get left with negative 4y equals negative 8x minus, oh, there's a lot of negatives in this, minus 5. So is my y by itself? What am I going to do? Divide by what? Negative 4. Good. negative 4. And what does y equal? What's negative 8 divided by negative 4? 2. Good. And what's negative 5 divided by negative 4? Positive 5/4. Just doesn't go in there, right? So negative divided by negative is a positive. What's my slope? 2. Yep. Beautiful. That's it. Okay? And we went over this because guess what we're going to do today? We're going to do this again today. We needed to be able to do this for today's lesson. Okay? So we're going to talk about the slope, right? It says slope. Beautiful. Slope of parallel and perpendicular lines. So the question that we need to, how can I tell if two lines are either parallel or perpendicular to each other? So that leads us to our definitions. Parallel lines. Two lines that are always the same distance apart and never touch, right? So they never touch and they're the same distance apart. Okay. Miss Campbell? Yeah. I have never seen her in my class in the 3 weeks yet. You're welcome. Bye. Okay. And then the most important part for us is lines that are parallel if their slopes are the same. Okay, so their slopes have to be the same and they have different y-intercepts. Does anyone know which part of my equation, when I write y equals mx plus b, which part of that equation is a y-intercept? So this is my slope, right? And this number by itself with no x is my y-intercept. So this part has to be the same, and this part has to be different for the slopes to be parallel, for the lines to be parallel. Okay? So we're going to look at those two pieces. And if we look, I'm going to blow up this graph really big here. And if we look at my two lines, right, I've got my equations here. Look at my slope. My slope are both what? See, my slopes are 2. Great, my slopes are the same, right? But look at my y-intercepts. I've got a 2 here, and I've got a -1 here. So that means they're parallel. Okay? Any questions on that? Kind of a little weird, right? So now we're going to go talk about no, we're not. We're going to talk about a negative reciprocal. Does anyone know what reciprocal means?
No.
No. Do you know what negative means?
Yes.
Awesome. So negative reciprocal means simply means swap the numerator and denominator. So reciprocal means I take my fraction and I do this. Right? My top becomes my bottom becomes my top. So I take my fraction and I just flip it over. That's a reciprocal. Okay? And then negative means I'm going to change the sign. So if it's negative, it becomes positive. If it's positive, it becomes negative. So I have something, so I'm just going to what the bejeebus? I'm going to swap my numerator, which is the top, right? Top. And the bottom. If we want to talk about the definitions of those words, right? Top of my fraction, the bottom of my fraction. And then change the sign. That's what a negative reciprocal is. And we have some examples. So if my slope is 2/1 here, right? How do I change a whole number into a fraction? You put a 1 underneath it. So I flip it, the 1 becomes the top, the 2 becomes the bottom, and I change the sign. -1/2 would be the negative reciprocal. -3/5, the negative becomes a positive, and then I flip it, and it becomes 5/3. Are you guys okay with that? Does that kind of make sense? Okay, and 1/7 would become -7/1. Okay? Not too bad? It's okay? Okay. So now we're going to talk about perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines are lines that cross at a 90-degree angle. Woo, right? They form a 90-degree angle. Two lines are perpendicular if and only if their slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. Don't care about the y-intercept on this if they're perpendicular. We only care about the slope. So if I zoom in, here, the slope of this line is 2/3. The negative reciprocal of that is -3/2. 3 over halves, 3 over 2. Okay, so the negative reciprocal. So I find the slope if they're the negative reciprocals of each other. One has to be negative, one has to be positive, because look, remember we talked about the 4 types of slope being negative and positive, 0 and undefined. Sorry, I just kind of paused for a minute. As I read my graph from left to right, I have a positive slope here, and then I have a negative slope here. So one has to be positive and one has to be negative. Does that make sense? That's why one has to be negative and one has to be positive. Because that's how it works to make that 90-degree angle. Are we okay with that? Okay, so I made a reciprocals of each other. Remember this? So it would be 3/5 and 5/3. Are they that way? No. A little how-to steps for deciding if 2 lines are parallel and perpendicular, right? So I made this little chart for you guys to follow. It's at the top of your next page, right? So how do I decide if they're parallel or perpendicular? Well, the first thing I have to do is put them in y equals mx plus b, which we've been doing for the last couple days, right? So we're going to solve for y, right? So solve for y, right? Solve for y. Okay? And then we find the slope. We want to find the slope of each line. Okay? Then we're going to go to part B, A and B. So it gives me 2 different things. If my slopes are the same, I'm going to do A. If my slopes are different, I'm going to look at B. Does that make sense? So I have 2 things to go. Same, I go here. Different, I go here. I don't have to do both A and B. I do one or the other. Does that make sense? So if my slope is the same, I find my y-intercept. If my y-intercept is the same, it's not parallel. If my y-intercept is different, it's parallel. So just a little flow chart kind of thing for you. And then if my slope is different, if the slope is negative, then you ask yourself, is the slope a negative reciprocal? If yes, it's perpendicular. If no, it's not perpendicular. Okay, so we're going to show you how, we're going to do some examples to show you how to do this. Is that okay? Okay, so I want to try and have that there. So I want to solve for y. And I want to kind of have that. Hey, it's okay if I slide up and down on this? Because I want to be able to have this. Can anyone tell me what f of x is? There's not a, I have 2 equations, right? I have equation 1. Let's say A and equation B. Okay? What is this? What does that mean? What does f of x mean? Does anybody know what f of x means? So I'm going to write this up here. F of x, g of x, h of x, anything of x means y. It's just another way to say y. Okay, if you have 2 graphs on this, 2 lines on the same graph, you don't want to call them both y, because then how do you know which one you're talking about it? So they give them a different name, a fancy name called f of x or g of x. So they have a different way to tell them apart. Is that okay? But it's just y. So this, for A, I can write this. I'm going to write it first the right way. F of x equals 3x plus 1. I can replace that f of x with a y. Same thing. I'm just substituting in y. Okay? Don't let that f of x throw you off. It doesn't mean anything but y. So I can substitute that in there. So now is that equation solved for y? That's the first thing you need. It is, right? So what's the slope of my line? 3. Awesome. Okay, is everyone okay so far? Now I'm going to take line B, which says 6x plus 2y equals 5. And I'm going to solve for, it's really warm in here today. I'm going to solve for y. So what do I need to do first? Okay, I'm going to subtract the x, which is subtract 6x from both sides. Very good. And I get 2y equals negative 6x plus 5. Okay, and now what do I do? I divide by 2 everywhere, right? So y equals, what's negative 6 divided by 2? Negative 3. Plus 5 halves. Beautiful. Okay, so what's my slope? Okay, now here was where we go up to my little questions up here, right? Is my slope the same or is it different? Different. So I'm going to go to B, right? If it's different, I'm going to go to part B. Then the question is the slope a negative reciprocal? They're negatives, right? One's positive, one's negative. That part's true. But is it a reciprocal? No, because this slope is 3 over 1, right? You turn a whole number into a fraction by putting a 1 underneath it. Okay? So is my second slope 1 over 3? No. So is it perpendicular? No. Is it parallel? Not parallel because it doesn't have the same slope. It's not perpendicular because they're not negative. So we're just going to say it's, is that right? Neither, right? Neither. Is that spelled right? Neither. Neither. So it's neither parallel or perpendicular. Is that okay? Yeah, because there's lots of lines that are neither parallel or perpendicular. It's okay. We just use the word neither. Okay? So we're going to try it again. Whew. Okay. And I'm always just going to label my graphs my equations A and B, so I know which one I'm working with, right? So I'm going to start with line A. And my equation for line A is 2x minus 1 equals y. Is y by itself? Yeah, y is by itself, right? So what's my slope? Just the 2. Just 2. Is it okay if I put the 2 over 1 now? Since we need to see sometimes if it's a reciprocal, I'm just always going to put the 1 underneath it now. Is that okay? Okay, so 2 over 1. Now I'm going to go to line B, and I'm going to do what? 2y minus 4x equals 7. I'm going to solve for y. Did they have one?
I called my sister to bring it.
Okay. Okay, so how do I get the y by itself? What do I do first? Huh? Did you say divide? Is the y by itself, first of all? So here's my y, right? Is it by itself on one side of the equal sign? Nope. So what am I going to do? Add 4x. I got to move this thing that's on the same side as the y to the other side. And how do I move stuff? By either adding or subtracting, right? So I'm going to add 4x. Okay, so then what do? Now I divide. And what am I dividing by? 2, yes. And I divide by 2 everywhere. So I get y equals, what's 4 divided by 2? 2, good, 2x, plus 7 halves, because 2 doesn't go into 7, right? At least not evenly. So what's my slope? 2 over 1. Well, we know that they have the same slope, but are the y-intercepts different? So my y-intercept on this one, the y-intercept is the number without the x or the y. It's just the number by itself. So in this equation, my y-intercept is -1. And in this equation, my y-intercept is 7 halves. So they are different, right? So, right? Find the y-intercept. If the y-intercept is the same, not parallel. If they're different, parallel. So this is, or they are parallel. Why do they have such difficult words to spell? Okay, you guys ready for number 3? Do you think you can do it? Do you want to try number 3? No? Okay. So I'm going to label it A and B, right? So A is, what is A? Y equals negative, that does not look like an X, does it? Negative X plus 7. Is Y by itself?
Yes.
So what is my slope?
Negative
What's the number with X? How many X's do I have?
one.
1. So what's my slope?
Negative one.
-1 over 1, right? How do you turn a whole number into a fraction? Put a 1 underneath it. Okay. Part B, line B, says f of x equals x plus 3. What does f of x mean? Y. Beautiful. So y equals x plus 3. What's my slope? How many x's do I have?
You have one.
I have 1x. Okay. Are my slopes the same?
Yes. Oh.
No. So are they negative reciprocals of each other? Yes, they are. I know 1 over 1 and you flip it, you get 1 over 1. That one's kind of hard to understand, but it's the same, right? 1 over 1 and 1 over 1. One's negative, one's positive. So what does that mean these lines are? Perpendicular. And I'm not going to spell it. I'm just going to use that sign. Sorry. I'll spell it for you. Perpendicular. I think that's right, right? Perpendicular. Okay. Huh? Isn't it lar?
No, never mind. You're right.
Huh? Oh, yeah, it's too high for me. I'd have to make it smaller. Okay, this sign, by the way, an upside down capital T means perpendicular. Just so you guys know. So you don't have to actually spell out the word if you don't want to. You can just use the upside down capital T. It means perpendicular. Okay? Should we try number 4? I'll work with this one, and then you guys are going to have to do some on your own. And we'll just do like 1 or 2 at a time. Is that okay, instead of all of them at the same time? So you can make sure that you guys know what you're doing. Yes? Okay. And then, yes, we are going to be doing a Kahoot, because this has to do with slope too. We'll be doing a Kahoot pretty soon on slope. Okay? Okay. Guys, can't we do a Kahoot? Yeah, we'll be doing one soon. Okay, what do I do? Is the A by itself? Is in line A, is Y by itself? No, so what do I need to do? Oh, that should have an X on it, huh? Sorry. What do I need to do? Subtract what? 8, yes, because that's on the same side as the Y. Beautiful. Subtract 8, and I get Y equals negative 6x minus 8. So what's my slope? Negative 6. Beautiful. 6 over 1, right? And then we're going to take line B, which is negative 2x plus y equals 5. Okay? And what am I going to do here? What do I have to do to get y by itself? Add 2. Beautiful. And I get y equals 2x plus 5. What's my slope? 2 over 1. Okay. Are the slopes the same? No, so they're not parallel. Are they negative reciprocals of each other? No, so they're not perpendicular. It's what? Neither. Neither, neither, potato, potato, however you want to say it. Okay, so let's try A and B. Let's just do A. On problem A, I have line A and line B, right? Line A says y plus 9 equals 3x. Is y by itself?
Maybe.
Y is by itself? On the same side of the equal sign? No. So what do I need to do? Subtract 9. Beautiful. So I get y equals 3x minus 9. Remember, I can only add things together if they both have x's or if they both don't have x's. If one has an x and one doesn't have an x, I can't add them together. Okay? So then I just put them like that together. 3x minus 9. Yes? So what's the slope of this line? 3. And then I'm going to take b, right? And I've got, what do I have here? 3x minus y equals negative 2. Okay. Is y by itself? So what do I need to do? Subtract 3x. Beautiful. Is y by itself? No. Why is y not by itself? Because it's negative. So how do I get rid of that negative? I divide by what? Negative 1. Beautiful. So y is going to equal 3x plus 2. So what's my slope? Huh? 3. Great. So are my slopes the same? Are my y-intercepts different? Are the numbers at the end, this number and this number, the same or different? So what does that mean? Is it parallel or not parallel? If they're the same, it's not parallel. If they're different, it's, so if we look up here, right? Whew, let me go up here. So my slopes are the same, right? Then I look at my y-intercept here. If my y-intercept is the same, it's not parallel. If it's different, it's parallel. So this means that this problem is parallel. Okay? Whew. I really can't breathe today. Wow. Okay. So problem 2, we've got A and B. How many of you actually have problem B done? Okay, do it.
Not fun.
I have not a problem failing you. Ooh, that should not be 2y, should it? Should be 5y. Okay, are my slopes the same? 2/5 and negative 2/5 are the same? No, are they reciprocals of each other? Huh? Reciprocals, remember, are this, where one is this and one is this. So are they reciprocals of each other? No. So are they parallel? Are they perpendicular? If they were perpendicular, let me go back up here. Maybe. The slopes would be negative reciprocals of, oh, I guess I am going to go on to the other page. Sorry. The slopes would be the negative. So they are only 2/5. They're negatives of each other, right? One's positive and one negative. But are they reciprocals of each other? No. So this would be neither. Yep. Okay. Because one's negative and one's positive, not parallel. And because they're not reciprocals, then they're not perpendicular. Oh my goodness, you guys. Whew. So part C, go ahead. I'll write them out for you. A is going to be x minus 2y equals 3. And b is going to be 4x plus 2y equals 1. Okay, does that help a little bit? Yeah. So what do I do to get the y by itself? I'll zoom in on this. Subtract 1x, right? And then I get negative 2y equals negative 1x plus 3. Divide by negative 2 everywhere. And y equals, what's a negative divided by a negative? So 1/2 minus 3, 1/2 x, minus 3/2. So my slope is 1/2. Okay? So on part B, I'm still going to solve for y, right? So I'm going to subtract 4x. And I get 2y equals negative 4x plus 1. Divide by 2. And y is going to equal, what's 4 divided by 2? And it's a negative, so it'd be negative 2, right? So what's my slope? I need a little fan right up here. What's my slope? Of this equation, what's the slope? Negative 2 over 1. Okay, do I have the same slopes? No, great. Are my slopes the opposite signs? Are they the reciprocals of each other? The reciprocal. Yeah, and when you take it and you flip it like this, yeah, it's called the reciprocal. Yeah, because 1 over 2 becomes 2 over 1, right, when I flip it. So are they the reciprocals? Yep, and they're opposites. That's why I said one's negative, one's positive, so that's good, right? So that means they're what? Perpendicular, yep. Perpendicular. I'm going to just abbreviate it. Perpend. Okay. Okay, since I wanna give you guys some time. I know that you guys can solve for y, right? You guys have been doing this. So on the delta math, I'm just going to go to the next page and show you what delta math says. It says there are some equations that say, are these two parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Okay, it says that. But some of them will just say, it'll give you this equation, like this equation right here. And it says, what is the slope of the line that's parallel to this line? Yeah.
Why is that two equations?
Huh? Because they just want to know if they're parallel or perpendicular. They want to know if those two lines are parallel or perpendicular. Just like what we've been doing. Okay? So the other question, I want to talk about the other question that's on delta math now. You'll get one equation. Okay? And they'll say, write the slope of the line that's parallel to this line. So what do I have to do? How do I know if they're parallel? The same what? The same slope, right? So I'm going to take my line and I'm going to solve for y, right? Because how do I find the slope? Y equals mx plus b, right? So I have my slope, I have my line, and I'm going to divide by negative 3. 21 divided by 3. Oh, that would be negative 3. Negative 7x minus 7/3. And it'll say, what's the slope of this line? And then in delta math, it just wants to know what the slope of the line that's parallel to that line is. So what would the slope of the line that's parallel to this line be? Negative 7. And that's your answer. That's it. It's the same, right? So what if it asked if it was perpendicular? What would the slope of the perpendicular line to this one be? Positive 1 over 7. Remember the reciprocal, change the sign, and then flip the fraction. Right, so 1 over 7. That's it. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so I want to give you guys like 20 minutes to work on delta math so I can help you with this. Okay, you'll probably need a piece of paper to write stuff on. So